Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. Today we're going to learn all about LinkedIn, 101 ways to rock your personal brand. That is the best title ever.
That was my co-author Dana. She's got a whole series of
Of rock.
101 ways to rock everything from your trip to Havana, Cuba to going back to school. No lie. She's
I
got like
want
12.
that job.
I
That's the
know.
best job
She's
ever to
awesome.
do this. Okay, so
Exactly.
we have Vivica von Rosen here, and she's going to teach us all about LinkedIn. And I had a vision for this interview. And I thought, when you go on to a new city that you've never been on and you go on
Mm.
those double decker bus
Yeah.
tours where there's a tour guide telling you, like, here's the grand overview, and if you want more, you should go to,
This alley.
yeah,
Yes.
go to this particular, go to the Parliament building or the Thames or whatever later on. But I'm
Exactly.
going to give you like a huge overview of everything that there is to know.
Yeah. About the book.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that you're that person. But
Well,
before we do that, I want to hear about your recent. You just went to a social media marketing.
social media marketing world.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens in that world?
That world of social media. It's great. It's an event. This was the fifth year that it's been on. I've been speaking there since its first year. Mike Stelzner, who's got Social Media Examiner, puts it on.
Mhm.
And this year we had 200 speakers on all realms of
Wow.
social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, video, blogging, content marketing, just anything you can imagine. And really some of the top speakers in the world on social media, Mari Smith, Joe Pulizzi, Mark Schaefer, myself, of course.
Yes. Of
But I
course.
mean, just a bunch of really great speakers, and most importantly, the audience is amazing. I mean, it's just Mike does it right. It's a great conference, great networking, great sessions. His networking parties are a blast. So yeah, it's fun. It was fun
Yeah.
being back.
So
Except for I
what were?
got this, and I blame
Yes.
Mari Smith because she was sick and she gave me a hug, and like
Thanks,
now I'm
Mari.
sick too. It's all Mari's fault. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of.
So
No, she's
what were the new things that you picked up? Because what's hot and new in the social media
Yeah,
world?
so obviously, unfortunately for me, what's hot and new is video, of course. So different ways of using video and video casting was really big. John Lee
Hmm.
Dumas was there talking about broadcasting and video casting. Steve Dotto was there talking about YouTube and how to create the best kind of YouTube channel. So there was just there's way too much information, of course, to get. You could only go to so many sessions,
Right.
but that was a really hot topic for people. Of course, I was supporting my friends in the the LinkedIn space too. So my friend Ron Nash was talking about profile optimization, and my friend AJ was talking about ads, and then Coca Sexton was talking about content marketing. So it was interesting to hear how other people do it as well, and to know
Yeah.
I'm sharing the right information. Woo!
On the tour bus of LinkedIn, you're like, okay, yeah, these are the main events, and I'm telling you the right historical information.
Exactly, exactly.
Wow, that's
These are
great.
historical figures you need to know about.
Well, what's so amazing is that's what the social media world is like right now. There's someone who's a security expert. There's someone who is an optimization expert, and it's impossible to know the great depth that each of those things offer. And to just keep abreast of the landscape is work enough, let alone the depths that each of these things offer. So you really do need to have different experts. I mean, it's kind
You.
of it's kind of
It's hard
interesting.
to be a generalist. I mean, there were a couple generalists there, and I'm just like, I don't even know how you do it. And they're like, we're just constantly learning, right? We're constantly working with our clients. We're constantly, we're reading, learning. And I'm like, I can barely keep up on LinkedIn, and they're
Right.
keeping up on everything. It's amazing. I'm so glad I'm not a
Oh,
generalist,
you mean
though.
like so they don't even specialize. Like you're a generalist in LinkedIn. Would you describe yourself as a generalist in LinkedIn, or what would you
No,
say?
no. Well, I guess if you're just talking about LinkedIn, but I'm very much the B2B space, and then I focus on branding, of course, which is
Right.
what the this is about. But I focus really on branding, lead generation, and content marketing. So, recruiting, there's other people who do that, and the B2C space and the internet marketing space is not necessarily my niche.
Right.
But I'm considered a specialist just because it's LinkedIn. Everyone knows me
Right.
as the LinkedIn expert. So
Right.
thank you, Twitter. So, but no, general says in people who know everything about all the social media sites, and I just don't even know, like from Facebook ads to Twitter content marketing
Yeah.
and YouTube best practices. I mean, I just yeah, oh
Yeah, like how do you optimize for each of those systems? But yet, here we
yeah.
are talking about
Here we are talking about
LinkedIn. Woohoo! Okay, so I
LinkedIn.
thought I thought we'd start like in the on the tour of
Yes,
LinkedIn. We'd start, and this is our second tour because we had so many
yes.
technical issues. So thank you so much for being here
It
and doing this
was where the
again.
bus broke down.
Yes,
The
when
bus
Skype,
broke down.
the
We had
Skype
to
broke down. I I'm like driving the bus and I'm like, wait a second, someone Skype just put a 3 terabyte mysterious cache file, which was making my machine crash every 2 seconds.
vodka for
So
fuel.
exactly. So we're back. We're back. Thank you, Microsoft, for LinkedIn and Skype, which are allowing presented today by Microsoft this interview. Okay, so
Resented.
yeah. You know, I used to work at Microsoft. Did you know
I
that?
know,
For
I
like
know.
14 years of my life. All right, so let's do a tour of LinkedIn. So first there's the photo. Okay,
Right.
and tell me a little bit about the photos, the do's and the don'ts on the photo, because I've seen all sorts of mayhem where, like, people are like, "Hey," and they're partying. I'm like, "Really? That's your that's
No,
your LinkedIn
that's not
profile?"
real people. Or like me and my husband,
Yeah,
or me and my ex-husband,
yeah,
with the cut off shoulder. Yeah, and especially with the new user interface, the photo's so small, you
yeah.
really want to get as close in as you can. The long body shot, don't do that anymore because no one would be able to recognize you. So you really, as professional as possible, no like, "Ah," no duck
Right.
lips, you know. This isn't Instagram. You want it as close a close up as you can,
Right.
and we all have cell phones, so we can all take 100 pictures and just choose the best one, right?
Right.
So keep it professional. I've seen people put logos up there. That is a no go. That actually goes
Logos?
against LinkedIn's end user agreement. Yeah, so that
Oh.
it needs to be a likeness of you. So I've seen artists do sketch drawings, and that's kind of clever. The thing is though, my thing with LinkedIn is if you meet with people ever, like ever, if you meet for coffee, if you meet in meetings, if you go to trade shows or conferences, they need to be able to recognize you. And if your photo is non-existent or if it's too far away or if it's from the 1980s and you don't look like that anymore, then no one's going to be. If you wear glasses all the time, then wear glasses on your LinkedIn profile. If you've got, as women, it's a pain because it's like, do I have bangs? Do I not have bangs? So
Right.
then you have to like get a new photo every time you get a new haircut practically.
Yeah.
But it's worth it because you want people to be able to recognize you. Funny story. I was at Social Media Marketing World and I was at the authors meeting and my girlfriend and I decided to dress up, just do something differently. So we were
Mhm.
both wearing wigs and I had on this great blue ombre wig with blue
Mhm.
lipstick and no one recognized me. And it was kind of fun. And actually, I think I got a lot more pictures than I usually do. I look like LinkedIn Smurf, but truly. But I'm talking to a friend of mine, right? A business partner, in
Yeah.
fact. And I can tell by the look in his eyes, he's no idea who I am. And I finally had to hold up my badge and say, it's Vivica. And he's like, oh my God. So don't do what I do, right? Use the photo that looks like you so that when you go to a networking event,
Right.
people can actually recognize you and start the engagement. I mean, on one end, it's just smarter to be recognizable. On the other side, if you don't like there were some people in that room who I would have never recognized from their photo. They were so photoshopped, right?
Right.
Uh, and then it's kind of you get that weird sense of like, well, are you ashamed of yourself? Are you like what's up
Yeah.
with this? Why are you not accurately representing your photo?
Right.
So
Yeah.
just
There's all
I
sorts of other
think
issues. Go like, why are
exactly
you an avatar? Like, what does that mean?
right.
Like, or why are you
Yeah,
putting a bird up there as your picture? Like, what's going
exactly.
on? Okay.
Exactly. Like and the nice thing for the ladies is like if you focus in on the face, they don't have to see the rest of you. So
You
if you
can
gain
yeah,
50
eat a hot
pounds,
fudge sundae the week before. No one will know.
exactly.
30
No,
pounds more, 20, who cares? Just looking at your face.
exactly. Just make sure the face prepare up is accurate.
Okay, so then the next part is the little 100, is it 120 character description?
Yep, the
Okay.
professional headline,
Okay.
120 character description. And a lot of people, especially job seekers, have like dot, dot, dot,
Right.
or they have their last job. But
Right.
most people have some form of title at company because that's the default.
Right.
But now with the new user interface, you can actually, well, with the old one too, but you can actually put anything you want there. And again,
Hmm.
it's 120 characters, so it's not like sentences.
Right.
But, I like saying, who are you, what do you do, and who do you serve? Or who are you and what are you known for? So mine is, LinkedIn expert, international speaker, and author of, LinkedIn 101 Ways to Rock your brand. I don't think I put the whole title in there
Yeah, it's
because there
like I
wasn't
think
really
you've gone over the
plenty.
120 already.
Yeah, exactly. I think the title alone is exactly. So, but something that people know you for. And of course, it doesn't have to be stagnant. If you've got a new launch that you've got, if you're looking for a particular job and then you're like, nah, maybe I want to do this type of thing instead. So you can always change that up. But yeah, you really want to use that full 120 characters. So do it first in a Word document because that will catch spelling errors. And then you can also use character count. In fact,
Right.
if you're optimizing or writing your profile, do it in a Word document first. Just, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many spelling mistakes that I've found in my C-suite clients' profiles.
That's
Before I worked with them, not after.
yes, exactly. No, I get it. We were talking about that last week, and in some ways, like I actually am very eclectic, right? So I'm a
Yeah,
radio host, a coach, I've taught yoga before. Like, you don't want to actually have something that is so eclectic that the person goes, "What the heck?" Like, this person's a
exactly.
confused person. Which may be
Yeah.
true, but you don't want to necessarily
Don't
put that
necessarily.
you don't want to put, you want to kind of have like the three things should actually be related together so that it looks like, okay, this is a coherent package. I know what I'm getting. But I like
Yeah.
yours as author, LinkedIn expert, and then what was the other one?
Keynote speaker, international keynote speaker, because those are
International case.
the
So that
things I
gives you a
get.
sense of who you work with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What you do, and okay, got it. So those are really
Executive.
tightly. And so
Yeah.
when you came up with those words, so for example, one of the things that I'm moving into now, I've done individual personal coaching for like
Yeah.
18 years. I'm now moving into group coaching, and I've worked in I work with a lot of people who are professionals, right? So I mean, because let's face it, you and I are expensive, right? So that
Yeah.
not a lot of people can
Exactly.
afford us.
Well, and that's you kind of want to get that across too,
Yeah,
right? Like, yeah, so, executive coach working with C-suite women, to adapt and excel in the technology world or
right,
something like that,
right,
right? So it's very clear, like, I'm not working with Miss I don't know what I want to do when I grow up,
right,
and my budget is $120. Like,
right.
you're like, no, I'm working with women who are making 6 to 7 figures, who've already achieved greatness and want to just expand upon that greatness. I'm totally making this up. I have
Right.
no idea what
No,
you want to
I'm
do.
actually typing this all in into my
Let me
LinkedIn
write that
profile
down.
now. No, I'm typing it into Word, and then I'll cut and paste into my LinkedIn
Exactly.
profile.
Exactly.
Vivica told me to do, so I'm just doing it. Okay, so 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 then there's the 120 character version, which would
Yep.
maybe translate to uh, trainer, speaker, or coach or something. So that would
Yeah.
be like the so
Yeah.
it's kind of, and then and those things then trigger what in LinkedIn? Like once I put those 120 characters, how does that affect my whole LinkedIn experience?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, that's a strong field under keyword research. So you
Okay.
want your best keywords in there.
Right.
So when people are searching on LinkedIn for executive coach technology, if that's what you were doing,
Right.
your
Right.
profile would then pop up. But more importantly is the human eye. So anytime you do anything on LinkedIn, people are going to see your picture, your face, and usually your professional headline.
Right.
So you want to make sure that it's saying something other than, CEO of ABC Corp. Well, I don't know what ABC Corp is. I don't know what ABC Corp
Oh.
does. I don't know who ABC Corp serves. I don't think you're relevant to me. But if I'm a executive woman who's afraid of technology and I read your professional headline, I'm like, oh my God, she's the one, right?
Right.
So You always, and it's okay. I mean, people try to, we were talking about generalists, people try to be everything to everyone, and that actually makes you less effective on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So if you can really focus on a target market with a target offer, you're likely to convert those people more. And it's going to be your high quality clients, your high quality leads, right? It's not going to be just anyone who happens to find you and maybe they can afford you and maybe they can't. If you're
Right.
speaking directly to your ideal client who happens to have a certain annual income, then you're going to attract more of those people,
Got
you
it.
know. And so
And
that's,
so like one area for me, group coaching is
yeah,
something I'm moving into. I can't
yes,
necessarily, I can look at my stuff and say, okay, when I was actually leading a meeting of people at Microsoft, was that
yeah,
group coaching? Even though like I was leading them to
right,
ship like a
right.
set of products for, is that group coaching? Not really, but I could. But so, how do you
But
put those things and still be authentically, because one is aspirational. I can probably convert all of my history to look like group coaching. Like,
right,
I
right,
led this group in
exactly.
doing this. I did a marketing plan in a group. I can,
Exactly.
so I
Well,
can, yeah.
sometimes
How
when
does one
you're first,
bridge that?
exactly. So sometimes when you're first, before you get your first client, like I just happened to get the moniker LinkedIn expert, both on
Right.
LinkedIn and on Twitter and actually pretty much everywhere, except for Facebook. But, but when I started out, I'd only been, I mean, LinkedIn had only been around for 3 years when I started out, and there really were no LinkedIn experts
Right.
back in 2006. So I grabbed the moniker and I'm like, I better prove this is true. So it is a little bit fake it till you make it, which my New Zealand audience is like, oh,
Right.
but, it
Wait,
is
what's
a,
happening in New Zealand that that's a
I don't,
reaction?
they're not, it's like New Zealand and Norway. They're like, and other countries too. But I remember getting a
Right.
physical repulse reaction from saying fake it till you make it. So I'm like, I'm not using that again when I'm not in the US. Um, but part of it is it's not that you're faking it, it's
Right.
that you're working very, very in a very focused and intentful and intentional way towards that ideal of who you want to be, right? So on a kind of a metaphysical level, it's speaking your truth into the world. And if you've got, now, if I were to say I'm an expert lawyer, that would be a flat out lie.
Right.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't have a law degree. I have no idea. If you wanted me to defend you, you're screwed. So, it's like, so you don't want to outright lie, but you do actually have every skill set needed to do group coaching,
I do.
right?
Yeah.
So, right, you absolutely do because I mean, you can't be in a corporate setting and not have every skill set needed. And then
Right.
because of what you were doing, you've got the IQ, you've got the EQ, you've got what you need. And so it's not a lie.
Right.
Now, you'll be able to talk more about the groups that you coach or the, group trainings that you do once you've done a couple
Right.
official ones.
Right.
But I think starting out, as long as you truly have or are in the midst of getting those skill sets that are needed in order to be whatever it is that you want to be, then I think you can put it up there.
Okay.
Um, you just want to be very focused too, because you don't want to be the person who, like, this week I'm a life coach, and next week I'm selling Amway, and the third
Right.
week I'm going to be a realtor. So
Right.
you really do want to
Yeah,
make sure that
pick your niche and
you
stay within
niche
that
and
zone and
that.
like so it's almost thinking about so if I think about your profile and also my profile, it's like what do you want? So if you think about LinkedIn as being the Google for professional people, is when
Yeah,
professional people are looking for you, what
yeah,
is it that what do they want when they type in these words, you
right.
want them to find you. So you can't pick the whole world like
That's right.
philanthropist, whatever. It's like pick one thing and like have a
Exactly.
logical three grouping. And then when people want to find group coaching, technologist, woman, that's not my
Yeah.
thing, but let's say in theory that
Right, right.
was the woman thing was. I mean, I
Yeah.
like women, but
Right.
so those are the
With-
three things that I would focus on in that, so that once when they're finding those
Yeah.
people, if you want professional people to find you in that context, that's how they'd find you. Okay, so that's and then the whole I've never it seems like a yeah, duh. But like people will just be like CEO of like a big company, but yours
Right.
is like author, and then you have this. I don't know what that line
I
is.
don't know the bar. I
The
don't know what you.
bar, like
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
international speaker, bar, and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a way for you to take three different
Yes.
areas and put it
Yeah.
on your slug or whatever it's called, wet
Right.
line or whatever. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
afterwards, there's an executive summary of which
Yeah.
there's some characters that appear visible, and then you have to click for more. So what's
Yeah.
the little characters that are ahead, and
Yes,
what do you
it's
put in that?
actually pixels. So it's between, I think we figured out it's between 214 and 248 characters.
Okay.
Just depending, yeah, it's all on pixelation. And unfortunately, there's no formatting. So if you do, period space, new paragraph, it just shoves that next paragraph right up there. So you want to make
Oh,
sure that that first line is a strong call to action. It's a strong personal statement, and that it's more than 200 and let's call it 40 characters long, so that you don't have really weird spacing. And
mm,
you'll see in mine, I mean, I've messed around with mine, and I was just like, okay, I give up. But I've got some special characters in there that make it pop a little bit more. And some people
oh,
will actually say, click on see more to read more about me, colon space, I am a. Um, I think that's a little bit overkill. I think they
right,
can see the see more right down there, and they'll see by the dot, dot, dot that they need to click on and read more because
right.
it'll dot, dot, dot right in the middle of a word, you
Okay.
know?
Okay, so think about my aspirational space. I would
Yeah.
put that thing that you're saying, like work with, senior executive coach for senior
Yeah.
women and technology. That may be like my
Yeah.
248 character kind of thing. Or would you put like in marketing parlance, they have taglines or your
Yeah.
positioning statement. It's
You
kind
could
of,
absolutely. Yeah. If you had a USP, a tagline, yeah, you could
yeah,
you
that's
could
where you
start with
put
that too.
that.
Yeah.
But don't make it
Yeah.
kind of like cutesy. So it's like,
Exactly. It needs to be.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be in alignment with your brand, and your brand needs to be professional. I mean,
Yeah.
unless your brand is cutesy, and then I guess you can be
Yeah,
cutesy.
but
But
like
in
let's
most
say for like
cases,
mine is maybe like
yeah,
lead an inspired life, right? And I may
yeah,
be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
what the heck? I don't know who you are working with, what you're doing. It's like
yeah.
it's too
It's too, yeah,
conceptual.
yeah, exactly. So it would be, as an executive coach, I help groups of technology adverse CEO women lead an inspired life.
Right.
So then you've got
Yeah, but it can't be like
yeah,
my little tagline that shows up
right,
in my
right,
Facebook
right.
ad. Okay, so
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
should be like a narrative, not digestible to a human being. Like if I
right,
were talking, having coffee, not this kind of like, and lead an
exactly.
inspired life.
Yeah,
What do you want to do in your life? Come to see me. Like, because that's what you would have on a marketing website is
right,
that kind
right,
of
exactly.
like
Yeah,
draw you in kind of thing because you
yeah.
have more bandwidth to explain it.
Right. And as in your following three or four or five or six paragraphs, because you actually have 2,000 characters in that summary section, you can get a little bit more. I mean, you don't want to be salesy or obviously markety, but you definitely want to focus on your ideal client and what their needs are and how you can solve them.
Right.
So you really, it's the summary section is, yeah, it's kind of like an executive summary, but it's not about you. It's about them and about what you can do for them and how you can help them. And you can talk about clients that you've helped before and typical results that you see, whatever your numbers are.
Right.
Whether it's, I increase people's bank accounts, I increase their visibility, I increase their bottom line, I help sell companies for more money. We generally get this percentage more, especially if you've got so I'm a woman, obviously, but my audience tends to skew a little male right now. Um, and sales B2B and masculine, and they want to see the numbers. Like none of this, like I don't care
Oh.
about your opinion. I don't care about analogies. I want to see the numbers. I want to know to what percentage
Oh.
you convert. So you have to be aware again of your audience. If it's women, you can touch more on the emotional. If it's male, they want numbers and numbers and
Oh.
percentages. And I know I'm generalizing, but it just tends to be true
Yeah, so
too.
what I'm
Right?
envisioning is that you have a conversation with your
Yep.
target audience, which is typically
Exactly.
male. You already
Yep.
know probably by having hundreds of these conversations, perhaps thousands of these conversations, the typical things they're going to want to know. Well, tell
Yep.
me, your conversion rate. Tell me about whatever. And so now you already know in the first conversation they're going to ask you these 5 questions. So it's boom,
Yep.
right on your
Yep.
executive summary, you
Exactly.
put those kinds
Exactly.
of things in your executive summary.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, and that That's not necessarily an optimization. That's just like your market, your personal narrative about what,
Personal.
yeah, like if it's like equivalent to first meeting, and like
Yeah.
let's actually skip the stage where we have the coffee together. You ask me a set
Right.
of questions and I answer them. Instead,
Yeah.
I will put a typical conversation and put the
Yeah.
answer and give you the responses that you're looking for. Is that right? The
Yeah.
executive
Yeah.
summary?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's a B2B scenario. And
Well, it's
in the
the same for B2C. It's just I happen to be B2B, but it's
okay.
the same for B2C, because in either case, I'm talking to a human being, whether you're business to business world or business to consumer world or government or education, you're still a human being. And what I want to tell you is what I can do for you, how I can make your life better, no matter what that, if it means buying my gadget, if it means doing training with me, if it means, me helping you build software that will improve your life, whatever it is that I do, I want to really focus using that section on how I can help make your life
Mm,
better with my service or product.
right.
And it
Right.
doesn't matter B2C, B2B, it's the same. We're talking to human
Right.
beings.
Yeah, so it's a lot of in a lot of ways it's like equivalent of the first meeting versus a web, like because there's lots all these marketing things
Yeah.
out there, right? There's the first page, homepage, and like what do you do, and what, and there's kind of a kind of like you go into this weird marketing speak. Most people
Yeah.
go like, find your three most,
Yeah,
we will
yeah,
offer
yeah.
you these three benefits. It's in the standard like marketing parlance, right?
Right,
And
right.
then this is the equivalent of like, let's just talk. Like
Yeah.
here's like it's kind of conversational talky.
We're
And I was
conversational.
thinking the executive summary being in the resume where it's like accomplished business person with 26 years of experience
Right, which
working in
is what
Fortune
a lot of
500.
people do. No one cares. That there's just no emotion there. And I guess if you're looking for a certain type of job in a certain type of industry, that's what they would expect from you. But I think in most cases, whether you're looking for a job or selling a product or service, people just want to get a sense of who you are.
Right.
And is this someone that I want to invest another 10 minutes or 15 minutes or an hour on the phone with,
Right.
or is this someone I want to invest my money with? And so I think getting that human
Mm.
nature across in the summary section is very important rather than just a list of your accomplishments.
So this
You do
isn't
that
like
for the
a this isn't like a keyword rich experience, or do you try to like
it
jam a
will
whole bunch of
naturally
keywords in?
I mean, you don't want to do it like a keyword dump. I think naturally you're going to have keywords in there. I mean, if I'm talking about LinkedIn training and,
Right.
obviously my keywords are in there.
Right.
So you want to have a list of your keywords and make sure that you bake in any relevant keywords. But yeah, you don't want to force them in there. It's going to look
Right.
too, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think naturally you're going to just naturally bake in
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
keywords
Try to
into
do
your,
do it natural versus kind
yeah.
of like how
I've
when
got to get one more
yeah.
use of LinkedIn
Yeah,
expert in
exactly. Yeah, and,
one
yeah,
more.
where she kind of looks like spammy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like what? Like I
exactly.
don't even understand what this woman can she not write because she keeps on saying LinkedIn expert for each sentence. It's
Yeah, yeah,
wrapped in
yeah.
there.
As a LinkedIn expert, and then as your LinkedIn expert, as a LinkedIn expert,
Yeah, it's like,
a
that's not
LinkedIn
good.
expert.
Okay, got it. So that's kind of more the primary intention and goal of that is like get your story and narrative in. If you can get some keywords that make logical sense in the context and make it
Yeah,
conversational, do it, but don't do it unless it makes sense. Okay, so
right.
that's executive summary. And then the rest of it, so job experiences, there's a whole bunch
Yeah,
of stuff about job experiences, which most
yeah.
people I've noticed puts in the resume. Like they just cut and paste the
I
stuff in
know
the
they just
resume.
cut and paste, and your resume. Like when you first created your resume, you're probably thinking, "Oh man, I wish I could talk about this or I could tell people about that," or your first resume was 18 pages long and then the person you were working with was like, "No, it needs to be 2 pages."
Right.
So this is where you get to tell the rest of your story. All that stuff that you wanted to put in your resume originally, you actually get to put into LinkedIn because again, you've got 2,000 characters per experience section. And I want to say it says experience, not jobs. So yeah, of course you're going to put your jobs in there. But let's just say you've been a stay-at-home mom and now you're going into the work
Mm-hmm.
world. So what was your experience? What else were you doing? What volunteer work were you doing? What can you bring in that's experience? Or maybe you're going into marketing and you've got a really powerful YouTube channel that has 1 million followers. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
experience, right? Maybe you have a podcast. That's experience. Maybe you write a book. That's experience. So don't think of it as just jobs. Truly think of it as experience that you can list and jobs that you can list that really give people again a sense of what you know and your level of expertise.
Okay, so I'm just trying to, so I'm taking that and going, okay, what would that translate to me? So like the typical resume would be like, radio host for 5 years,
Yeah,
life coach for 18 years. That's typically what I see in LinkedIn.
yeah,
But
yeah,
what I see, like, what is my experience? Well, my
yeah,
experience is like being able to draw people to find their greatest potential. Let's say that. So
yeah.
like that would be
You
my
would
experience.
actually, if you said that, you would probably work that into the radio host or the coaching position, right? So
Okay.
you would actually talk about that. I'm talking more about actual experience that you have that might not be a job, like writing a book, like having a radio show, like
Right.
having I mean, if you might do something and not get paid money for it,
Right.
is
Yes.
one
Like
thing, right?
I led a board to do, I was on this
Yeah,
nonprofit board to do
yeah,
whatever, and I led them, figured out what the strategic direction should be
yeah,
for their next business endeavor.
right.
So
Which is
you're
group
just saying,
coaching.
right. Sorry, what?
Which is group coaching.
Right. Yes. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's true. That
Yeah,
is
see
probably
how
group
that
coaching.
works in?
Oh, okay. I see how it's working.
See how it works? Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Exactly.
So in those particular cases, it's
Yeah.
paid or unpaid. You're saying that
Yeah.
typically when people think of that work experience, they think, oh, it has to be just actual
Right.
job titles that where people were
Yeah.
paying me salary. So you're saying broaden
Yeah.
that to include
Broaden
all
that.
experiences, some of which may be, things.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you aren't a manager, but you've worked in the nonprofit as in the
Exactly.
board of it. So yes, you have leadership experience. So you're saying wind in
Exactly.
those kinds of things to
Yep.
round out, if especially if you're aspirationally trying to move in a particular area.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay, got it. But I still put
Exactly.
like the you
Well, you
know
still put the radio show
radio
host in
host,
there. Yeah, you
whatever.
still put
But
your
it's
real jobs in there
okay.
too.
So you're just saying like the titles maybe. So like let's say I work on a board and I'm
Yeah.
like, so it's like group coach. Like what would I put down as it, so in my
Yeah,
experience?
I would do like board member, colon space, executive coaching expert. So,
Okay.
they brought you onto the board to be their executive coach. They didn't want to pay you, so they brought you onto the board. No, I'm
Right.
kidding. But, often we're on boards because yeah, they
Yeah,
want
no
our
one wants to
expertise
pay
or they
us,
don't want
right?
to pay us.
Yes.
Exactly. If it's a nonprofit or volunteer position. But yeah, I would do, board member with expertise in or board member brought in to do group coaching or, so you
Sets
can
a
focus
strategic
on that.
direction or group, whatever.
Strategic. Yeah,
Right. So that
exactly.
would be
Yeah.
like it's not necessarily the typical radio host for 5 years, work for CBS, all those kind of things. Like it's
Right,
not
right. And
that
you
kind
want
of stuff.
that in there too. I mean, because that lends a certain amount of credibility and
Right.
it proves that you've got the skill set. So you definitely don't want to not put that stuff in.
Right.
It's just you want to think beyond the box and add other things in.
Okay.
Like so
Got it.
for my books, I've got, LinkedIn expert and author is the title and the company is the name of the book, et cetera, et cetera. So then
Ah,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
interesting. So be creative about how you're packaging this stuff so
exactly.
LinkedIn will find you. So okay, got it.
Yeah.
And then the
And that's
narrative, you have 2,000 words. What's the
You've got
narrative?
2,000 words. So yeah, so the experience narrative, so the summary narrative is really what can I do for you? The experience
Hmm.
narrative is just that, it's your experience. But again, it can be more than the 3 lines that you have on your resume, right?
Right.
So it can really get a little bit deeper into what you did in that position, how you saved the day, what people say about you. So anything that really speaks to your
Mm,
experience and expertise again with the idea of why would someone want to hire me,
right.
right? If I've just got three like colon or a bullet point, let corporate expertise and LinkedIn training, well, that's all well and good, but isn't it better if I said, I've led several Fortune 5 or I've led this Fortune 500 company, this Fortune 500 company, this Fortune 500 company, and this Fortune 500 company with sales teams of between 10 and 50 people to increase their visibility and convert their leads by an increase of 4x, meaning that they have met or exceeded their monthly quotas, every year since they started training with me. That's probably going to be stronger than, do corporate training with LinkedIn,
Right.
So,
I see. Okay, got
yeah,
it. So it's almost like so what I'm thinking, and I'm actually mapping this all to my experience in marketing. So there's kind of
yeah,
like this is like the conversation, The first part is the conversation you have with an interested candidate and that or interested
Yeah.
prospect. And then the next
Yeah.
part is like evidentiary proof. Like what
Yes,
proof do you
exactly.
have that this is true? So almost
Yes.
if when you're writing it, the narrative is like, okay, now that I've told you about this, let me dive
Yeah.
in deeper and say when I worked at Microsoft, I was working with these kinds of things. Like this is my job experience. Where I worked at
Right.
Microsoft. I was
Exactly. Yeah.
working
Yeah.
in these
Exactly.
as an executive coach. I'm helping people with these following things with these kinds of results. I see. So it's like
Exactly.
evidentiary proof that they can go, okay, evidence. She worked
Yeah.
with these companies. Evidence.
Yeah.
She got this kind of result. So that's similar to a resume, but it's what I'm hearing you say is again it's more conversational because in a resume like you said is three sentences, but in this
Yeah.
case you're kind of
Yeah.
translating it to okay, I'm having a conversation with you now and
Yeah.
telling you about my. And so here's the thing that's a little bit weird is I think people are expecting resumes now, like that's their
Yeah.
frame. So when they
Of
see
course.
that, it's like, what's this person blathering on and on about? I don't know. Do people have that
And
response?
so I don't think I mean it's funny because I only have people on the other side do it, like people who are writing their profiles saying things like that. I don't actually have the readers of profiles ever saying that.
Really?
You
Okay.
know, so yeah, yeah, I don't think that's a concern.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
They
you
actually
know,
like it because it's like
yeah, yeah,
I can read this and prevent even having a meeting with CJ because she's not a fit already. I can
she's
read
not a
this
fit.
and
I can
say,
tell. Yeah,
yeah, or
or
she is
oh
a
my God,
fit.
I need to get on the call on the phone with her right away.
Okay, got it. Okay,
And
got it.
speaking of evidence, the other thing is you want to, if you have media, you want to add media to your profile. So
Hmm.
if you've got examples of your work, if you've got, examples of you at work, video, JPEGs, PDFs, Word documents, SlideShare presentations, anything again that lends credibility and
Oh,
proof to what you say. Because I think the thing that most people are distrustful on LinkedIn is we can say I could call myself a LinkedIn expert, and I might have like discovered LinkedIn yesterday.
right.
So, right, and trust me, there are people out there. You're like, what? Uh,
Who are you?
LinkedIn, LinkedIn events
Right,
and answers. That went away in 2011, right?
right.
Not that I'm naming names, but so you want to be able to prove that you are who you say you are. So any kind of evidentiary proof is great. So you can do it both in the written word with examples, and then with media as well, because it's hard to fake media.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So, like I saw on your website, and we haven't talked about this yet, but there's a background of you speaking to a large
Oh
audience.
yeah,
It's clear.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like that's actually in some ways that visual image of you
yeah,
speaking to a large audience is your evidentiary proof in
yeah,
via a picture, right? That's really
yeah.
clear.
Exactly,
Okay, got it. So
exactly.
that's the kind of thing. Or so like you would actually, if you have a clip from, you have a YouTube of that, you would put that in your, like,
Yeah,
let's say it's like corporate
yeah,
LinkedIn expert, do that. And then you'd have like
yeah,
recommendations from people.
exactly.
And then you'd have people who have endorsed you for those
Yeah,
kinds of things. And I assume all
yeah,
those things go into building like, now LinkedIn is more confident because you
yeah.
actually have these things. Is that actually where what now all that information you put in your experience, where does that go into the algorithms of LinkedIn?
Well, I mean, as far as just findability or
Yeah, does it
yeah,
like is it so this whole idea of stuffing your keywords in there.
right, right. I mean, and the thing is, it's important to, and ironically, endorsements are one of the most heavily weighted. If you get a lot of endorsements for a particular skill that you have, which should be a keyword, you're actually more findable under that. So that's ironic, but because endorsements are kind of a joke, but
Right,
you also have to use them, right?
right.
But so in LinkedIn search, primarily it's about relationships. So I could be the biggest LinkedIn expert in the world, but if we're a third level connection, somebody else who's a LinkedIn expert who might not have my level of expertise and might not have, over 1,000 endorsements is still going to show up before me because you're first level connection. So you just have to realize that you could have the best optimized profile in the world, and relationship always comes first. But then comes the keyword optimization. But it's absolutely not worth I mean, I still see, and it's usually with internet marketers, but you'll see like they'll have 14 positions that say internet marketer, and it's the exact same copy in each position. And yeah, they might get found under internet marketer, but then when I go to their profile and read that, I'm like, oh, scammer, you mean, delete,
Right.
unfollow. So you don't, it's like a website. You can have the best SEO website in the world, but if your website sucks, you're not going to convert. Lawyers, are you listening? So,
Right.
oh my gosh, I can't tell you. It's like, yeah. Anyway, lawyers, you all need better websites, especially the older, bigger firms, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can lead a horse to drink, but or you can lead a horse to the the
Right. So, like,
watering well,
yes,
but
the SEO optimization is important, but don't go
it's
berserk about it because people
absurd.
could, yeah, people read from it
It'll
like,
turn people off. If it's
yes,
obvious what you're doing, it'll really turn people off
right. So there's
because
this
it's about
art.
that authenticity piece. It's like so inauthentic.
Right. So make sure that if there's certain keywords that you want to be known for, incorporate it with grace, but don't kind of like the whole thing you're saying, LinkedIn, LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
exactly.
But so that's basically the experience, and I think we've covered the whole profile. We've talked about
Yeah.
endorsements. We've talked about so in endorsements you can actually I didn't realize you can actually put in things that you want to be endorsed for. So if I
Oh,
wanted to be group
absolutely.
coaching, I would put it in a group coaching scenario
And
in
you
there.
can reorder it because now with the new user interface, only the first three show. So you want the first three, even if you've got the least endorsements for them because you just put them in there, go ahead and put them in the first three. They'll slowly build up.
Okay.
People might click on see more. It's highly unlikely, but so you
Right.
definitely want those
I
first
see.
three
Okay.
being the
And then how about
weightiest.
recommendations? Are you trying to get like at least one recommendation for each
Or
job, or does it matter?
yeah, Yeah, I mean, it's good as long as that job's relevant to what you're doing right now. If it's 25 years ago, it was a completely different industry, it's not such a big deal.
Okay.
But if you've got five pieces of experience, whether it's jobs or whatever, over the past 10 years, if you can get one or two recommendations per experience, yeah, that usually
Okay, got it.
looks best.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how can LinkedIn even know if that recommendation is like, I really love her clothes, and like how do they
Well,
know it's like relevant to like the
awesome.
context at
Thanks.
hand? Yeah.
Well, and that's it. So for so what I tell people, and it's a little bit easier to find recommendations now. So three dots by someone's profile. You just click on those three dots, and it'll say ask for a recommendation. When you're asking for recommendations, just kind of give people something to work with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't go with the default. Never go with LinkedIn's default languaging. So hey CJ, if you remember, we did a interview together last year. I got on and I spoke about LinkedIn. I'm really trying to build up some energy around my new book. So could you recommend me, for my new book? And you would do it under that. You'll put in where you want to be recommended, whether it's education or experience. And then I'd say, could you speak to my knowledge? Could you speak to my expertise? Could you speak to my timeliness? I don't know. Could you
Right.
speak to, so
Right.
give people some talking points. If they're super busy and you know them well, you could possibly even write it for them. Or if they've already given you a testimony on your website, you could say, hey, you gave me this great testimony on my website. I would love it on LinkedIn too. Copy paste. Would you be willing to do that for me? So
Right.
you always want to feed them something to work with. Otherwise, you'll get like, she's great. It's like that
Right.
means nothing.
Right. Right. So you actually want to
That's
have good
amazing.
recommendations and that
Yeah.
are context specific
Lots.
to that
Yeah.
particular experience so that they can talk
Exactly.
and flesh out that not only for the readability so that when someone reads it they're like, "Oh, this is interesting." But
Yeah.
does LinkedIn do anything with the actual text that's written? Is it looking for again?
I know in the past it has. I've kind of not even bothered with the whole keyword thing anymore because I figure you're going to get them in there anyway if you've got a full enough profile. It
Right.
used to be when you did a keyword search before, you would see that those keywords were highlighted under recommendations too. So
Mm,
yeah, if someone was putting keywords and recommendations, I know in the old user interface it used to be findable. I honestly have no idea about the new user
right.
interface.
Right.
Probably. I don't know why they would
Right.
change that
Right.
algorithm,
Right.
but
Okay, so I think have we hit everything? Have we done the
well,
tour bus? What have we missing
yeah,
that people
yeah.
need to know about?
So the background image is very, very important. And it's completely, actually, I'll give you a link for the show notes where people can get the new template for the background image. It's the
Yes, okay.
weirdest template ever. It took me forever and it's still not perfect, but it's good enough for my
Okay.
background image. right now. Oh my God. So the background image, but that's like immediate branding, right? So if you've got a website, a book, something that people identify as your brand, you can put it up there. Or if you work for a company, get their permission and you can put that up there too. Um, so that background, you've got the picture, you've got the professional headline, you've got the summary section, you've got your media in the summary section, you've got your experience, you've got your media in experience, you've got your education. And so obviously if you've got, PhD from Harvard, by all means put that in there. But also if you've gotten some other form of education, maybe you did like Brandon Bouchard's, you know, training in Australia or whatever,
Right.
you can put that in there as long as it's relevant to what you're doing. So you definitely want to add some education that you've got because you don't get to be successful at a certain level without having some kind of education. Now, it might not be, formal university education, but you've done something to get where you are now. So make sure you've added that. On the right hand side now, there's all the additional stuff. So it used to be called additional sections, and it used to be right in the heart of your profile. Now it's on the right hand side, so a lot of people miss it. But that's where you can add your organizations that you've worked for, associations that you've worked for, where you can add your skills if you haven't added your skills yet, where you can add publications, where you can add organizations, where you can add projects. So there's a lot
And
in
what's that section called? That
that
section on the
right-hand
right-hand
side.
side?
I think it's still called, I need to go in and take a peek here. I think it's still called additional information,
Ah, okay,
but
got it.
it's on the right-hand side, and it's also the way they've classified it's weird. So here I'm just going to go in because I could tell you for sure that way.
Yeah, so let me make sure I understand.
I
So I
I claim
because
being sick that it's not coming straight to my mind.
no, I know. You have a good excuse.
Add a new profile section. Okay. And
Okay.
it is still called add a new profile section, but within that, there's your background, which is your work experience, your education, your volunteer experience. There's your skills, and then there's accomplishments. And it's the accomplishments one that people kind of miss out on. So
Mm.
that's where your publications, your certifications, your courses, your projects, your
Ah,
scores, your patents, your test scores, your languages. Oh, yeah, if you speak different languages, that's where you want to do that. And
okay.
organizations that you're a member of. All of those are found on the top right-hand side. It just says add a new profile section.
Ah, okay, got it. And that's how we were talking about that last time because, earlier on in my coaching, I probably have taken seriously, I'm not even joking, like 10
Yeah.
different certifications. I'm certified
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
mediator. I worked as a court mediator. There's like, I have all these kinds of experiences in
Yeah.
group coaching. But,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
but
Exactly.
but I see that I have all those kind of things, and it looks like I'm schizophrenic because I have like, I went to Duke, I went to Haas Business School, which are the most important things. But
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
in addition to that, are all these like, no Reiki, took a
Yeah.
yoga, but all those things actually are at like they've part of my brand of coaching. But it looks
Right.
like I'm.
Exactly.
If
But
that's the
yeah.
first thing that shows up, you're like, what? Like,
Yeah.
who is this person? So you would put those things in additional skills or yeah,
Exactly.
and the education you just leave to like the business school or whatever graduate
Yeah.
program
Whatever
and
graduate.
undergraduate
Exactly.
program you went.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then the banner in the back that you have,
Yeah.
is that like do you put your phone number or link, like also find me on Facebook? Like is that what is
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, some people do. So we did a banner for a girlfriend of mine, Sue Zimmerman, who's an Instagram expert. So rather than putting her phone number or even her website, we put, at Instagram expert because
right.
really she gets most of her leads and most of her business through Instagram. So we wanted to let people know about that. I would say in most cases, you could put an email address or a website address up there. I think I've got my phone number and my website address up there. Now, a little bit of a ninja trick. You could put a Google Voice number, which is what I did, and then two things. If some weird crazy stalker comes around, then I know I can change that. But
Right.
also, I know any call that comes in from there is coming either from my website or from LinkedIn.
Ah, so it's
So
actually qualifying the referral and where it's coming from. Oh, that's
exactly,
brilliant. It's like what they did in direct marketing. You have different phone numbers, and based on
different
where they
phone
are,
numbers. So
like I got that lead from LinkedIn
exactly,
or Twitter or whatever. Oh, that's brilliant.
exactly.
You are
Yeah.
good.
Hey.
All right, and the last part, so we were talking about B2B. You're an expert in LinkedIn. So where do you start, taking your content? Like, what does that mean about and LinkedIn has changed your user interface so that you can actually see that content more readily. What are some things that you can do with respect to getting your content out there so that other people can see, your videos, your presentation, your recent presentation at the
Yeah,
social media
yeah.
marketing thing?
Yeah, exactly. So you could do that in three places. If it's strong enough content that you want it to kind of be evergreen, you upload it as media, as long as you have permission to do so. So my s-
On your
my, my
LinkedIn profile
your LinkedIn
and
profile.
that
So
additional skill, additional
no, no,
things.
actually no. You can only upload media in your summary section, experience and education. So
Okay,
for like for my two talks at Inbound, because it's a big conference
right.
and most people in our industry know it, I've got those under my keynote speaker section, experience section. So if it's strong enough and somewhat evergreen, then you can upload it
Ah, I see. Got it. Okay,
into
got
your
it.
very profile. Now, as far as actual content, if you're a blogger, like if you write long form blog posts anyway, you definitely want to use LinkedIn Publisher because that will get you LinkedIn Publisher will allow you to repurpose your blog content. And what we found is your engagement is actually higher is actually higher through LinkedIn Publisher than it is through on your blog post. So even though you might get
Interesting.
less views, you're going to get more engagement. So if you're using your blog post to encourage engagement and lead generation, etc., definitely repurpose it using Publisher. And of course, if you're a podcaster or a vlogger, you can add the video or the podcast in there. I would just get it transcribed as well so that
Hmm.
you've got some content in there because this content's actually also searchable. So if someone's searching for a LinkedIn expert, it's possible that one of my blog posts, my publisher posts.
Okay, so LinkedIn Publisher, it sounds like, is a content management system of some sort.
No, no, it's like WordPress, but on LinkedIn.
Oh,
It's like
brother.
WordPress
So then I have to cut and paste my stuff from my WordPress
Exactly.
into
Well,
that.
actually, from the Word document that you created it first in before you put it into WordPress, if you do that.
Oh, just another action item for me. Okay, so if I create a Word document, now I have to cut and paste it into the LinkedIn Publisher.
Into
And where
LinkedIn
where is
Publishers.
this LinkedIn Publisher and how is it
If you
different?
Yeah, so if you go to your home page, and that'll
Mhm.
that'll bring up the next point, which is just sharing updates. If you go to home page, you'll see there's a little box right at top that says share an article, photo, or update.
Right.
Those are just like short form updates, like tweets. And then underneath that, you'll see write an article, and then you'll see image, which is very it's they should not be in the same place. I don't know why they put image down there.
Right.
But anyway, the write an article, if you click on write an article, that actually brings you to the new publisher platform.
I see. Okay, so
Which
is that
is
a new feature within LinkedIn? I didn't
no,
even.
no, they've had it since 2004.
Okay, so
Well,
it's
it's been available to us since 2014. It's been available since 2012.
I got it. So that's basically you would go to the so when you hit like when I actually have this tool for my blog that I hit share. So that's actually sharing an update, which that
Yeah,
goes to where does that go to? Is it like in the ethers? Like is it like
pretty much. Yeah,
hello?
to your followers timeline. So that's nonetheless, you still want to show that you're active and thoughtful. So I say post an update once a day,
Okay.
so a business related tweet or update once a day just shows that you're active on LinkedIn. And then the long form posts, once a week is ideal, but if you can do once a month, that's great. And then you would continue to share your article, your long form article as an update a couple times a week just to continue to get that visibility to that article.
Okay, got it. So it may actually, so after this interview, I'll write like a long form post after this, and then I'll also
Right.
have a video log. And so I want to basically republish that 3 times. So I have to go into the
No, no,
system
no. You put it into Publisher once. So
once.
you republish it once and then you share it as an update. So it
Okay,
goes in Publisher as a long form post one time,
yeah,
just once, because it lives there forever and it's evergreen and it's like
right.
a blog post. And then you just share it as an update
Throughout the week. So let's say, and
throughout
is
the
there
week.
like a frequency interval that you think is good, like or time or frequency that's best for that, or is it you're gonna have to play around with it?
Yeah, no. So it's definitely Monday to Friday, and then it's whatever working hours you have. So usually 9 to 5, depending on what industry you're in, and then what time zone you're in. So probably noon.
Okay.
whatever time zone you're in is going to cover everything, even over as far as Europe
Okay.
and
So like
Australia.
so I'm trying to figure out. So like Monday, I take this long form post, put it on there.
Yep,
Wednesday and Friday, I share it so that it has
as
like
an update.
maximum hit
Exactly.
because someone may for not even know that it exists. So I give them
Yeah, they
three
would know
chances.
that it was there. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's interesting because I ran a so I actually write for LinkedIn, so most of my stuff usually gets promoted, and I do that by using a certain hashtag that so they can see that. So I thought I'm just wondering how well Publisher works for people who don't, who aren't using all of the not only that, but I've got a lot of systems that I or strategies that I teach people to get more visibility. And yeah, so if you just hit publish once, like my latest post, and most of my posts get between 500 and 1,000 views. My latest post that I published on the 22nd got 114 views and like three likes. So just posting and publishing is not enough. You have to continue to share it as an update. You have to encourage people to read and share your article, or it's not, it's going to get seen by 114 people and maybe liked once, right? So
I
you're not
see.
going to get the activity.
Okay, and
My assist,
what's
yeah,
your daily love that you give? Is that what the picture is, or you do those stupid pictures with a quote?
I don't,
Please.
but I mean, I don't, but people can. I
Okay.
love those infographics, right? Whether
No,
they're on Facebook or Twitter,
I
and
find
you'll
them
get a lot of
irritating.
feedback. I do too.
Right.
You'll get a lot of feedback from people going, "Yeah, this is not, but they do get a lot of activity, so
Yeah.
it's kind of your audience.
Right. So your daily thing may be like just, so it may be like five things that you heard at the social media marketing.
Well,
It's
my
like little,
daily updates are just, yeah, no, I'm not even that thoughtful. I'll just find an article I think my audience would like and share it on LinkedIn.
okay,
I
got
mean,
it. Okay,
and I
got it.
usually already have enough of that. I mean, I share way more than once a day, but
Right.
most people should share about
Okay.
once
So
a day.
that's like what it means to be a good LinkedIn citizen. It's like try
Yeah,
to share stuff that's not your own thing at least,
exactly.
once a day where you're sharing the love and contributing to the community and then share your stuff once and then republish it, share it
Yeah,
twice because maybe
yeah,
people have missed it. So that's the kind of content advice I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah,
there's much
exactly,
much deeper,
exactly.
but I'm
Well,
sure
no,
there
yeah, yeah, I've got like a 2-hour training on it,
right.
but that's the tour bus version of it,
Okay,
exactly.
good. All right,
The
so
tour
tell us a
bus
little
version.
bit if we want to actually take your class for content management stuff. How does one sign up for your class and what's the process? Is it online
Yeah.
class,
It's
offline?
an online class. I mean,
Okay.
I do one-on-one and group coaching as well, obviously, but
Right.
that's usually more lead generation and marketing focused.
Right.
So yeah, highqualitylinkedinleads.com
Okay.
has a full program. It's actually the whole program itself is a little over 4 hours,
Wow.
and it's all bite-sized videos, and it's got all the resources and everything you need. And it really takes you from optimizing your profile to how to find your ideal clients on LinkedIn, to how to engage with your ideal clients, to how to use content in order to prove that thought leader expertise and stay top of mind with them, and then how to kind of seal the deal.
Okay, got it. So it's little bite. It's 4 hours, but is it
It's all bite-sized pieces. I think the
okay.
longest video is 12 minutes, maybe 14
Oh,
minutes,
so I
and
can digest
most
this
of
as
them are
much as I can. Okay. Good.
exactly 3 to 5 minutes on average.
I took the woman that gave you the cold, Mari.
Yeah.
I took one of her classes
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like I just felt like they were an hour a piece and I couldn't
Yeah.
like I was like at a certain
So
point,
much excellent information, but it's
yeah, I
like
just got into
five
overload
hours.
and I couldn't do it. So the 12
Yeah.
minutes at 12
Yeah.
minutes every week I can deal with, but like it
Exactly.
gets too overwhelming like it's like to try to either you have to like throw everything off the plate and spend like a
Yeah.
month figuring it out and no one can do that,
Exactly.
right? So they do a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
and then they get tired and then they fade away. That's at least what happened to me and I assume
Oh
happens to
yeah.
most people. So
And
this is
that's
like
why the
bite-sized
book
chunk.
is right. That's why the book
Yeah,
is bite-sized pieces because you don't, right? You don't want the yeah.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
just like
My
every
first
day.
book was like Mari's. I mean, my first book was LinkedIn marketing an hour a day, which no one has an hour a day, first of all, and it
For
was a terrible
LinkedIn, right?
title. But yeah, that's why Wiley
But like
never
12
hired me to
minutes
write another
12
book.
minutes once a
12
week,
minutes
like
a
okay,
day
I
I
can
could do,
do it.
right? Yeah, I can
All
do that.
right. Okay. So they
Exactly.
go to your website. Tell us the website again. You have linked. You have, of course, you have your
Link.
LinkedIn, LinkedIn expert on LinkedIn. But where else could they find? What's the URL again that they should go to sign up for this class?
So the class is high quality LinkedIn leads, HIGHQUALITYLINKEDLEADS.com, high quality LinkedIn leads.com. Of course, you can find the book and you can find all my courses and everything on my website, which is linkedintobusiness.com under the products tab. And then you can find the book, of course, on Amazon, both physical and Kindle version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm LinkedIn expert, but I'm at my 30K limit, and I've got like 500 people waiting to connect. So if you want to connect with me, you have to write me a personal message, or I'm not going to accept you because I'm like at my limit and then some. But I'm on Twitter at LinkedIn Expert. You're welcome to follow me there. You're welcome to follow me on LinkedIn because you can always get my information that
Right.
way. And then you can always just reach out to me. I'm Vivica at LinkedIntoBusiness.com. So if you ever have any questions, just feel free to email me. That's always the best way. I'm old
Yeah.
school that way.
I love it. Thank you so much. You are just absolutely charming. I just have I'm charmed by you. You're fantastic. We've been talking to Vivica Von Rosen, and we've been talking about 101 ways to rock your personal brand. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.